Hello, everyone. This is Nick Sandberg, the HRIS analyst. We're going to give it about another 30 seconds for people to hop in, and then we'll get going on the 2018 goal creation process. All right. And can everybody see my screen?
Uh, nope, not at the moment. This is Cliff.
Not yet. Let's see.
I think my account might have problems seeing the screen.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know the screen.
No worries. And what we're going to do, if you're not able to bring it up, it should be in your Skype. But I'm also recording this, so after the call, I can send over the PowerPoint presentation. And then tomorrow, when I get back to the office, I'm going to go ahead and upload the video.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
In the room with, sorry, I'm just in the room with Cliff, just so you don't wait for me.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. And as more people come in, that's okay. So welcome, everyone. Like I said, I'm Nick Sandberg. I'm the HRIS analyst. Jonathan Lee was going to be with me today, but a family emergency popped up and he had to step away. So throughout the process, if I'm unable to answer questions, I'll be able to work with him and we'll get you guys the answers here shortly. So like I said, we're going to go over the 2018 goal creation process. We're going to take a look at the process. We're going to talk about the different quadrants and the alignment of goals. Take a look at the timeline. And then we're going to walk step by step through the actual goal creation process, do a quick demo, talk about the different resources that we have out there or that will be out there. And then at the end, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. So the 2018 goal process, a lot of it's still the same. The process will still be done in the Grow Your Talent portal, and we're also going to continue to use the SMART goals formula. What's new, though, is we're using the 4 goal placeholders that Scott talked about at our last company meeting. And it's also going to be a simplified process. You'll notice as we get going, there isn't a lot of structure to it, and there's not a lot of automated emails or a really lengthy process. We've cut down a lot of the red tape and made it really simple and easy for everyone. So the goals and alignment, as Scott spoke about at the last meeting, the 4 quadrants that are going to make up the performance review at the end of the year are going to be customer engagement, colleague engagement, company financial performance, and functional goals. What we're going to do as an organization is we're going to work with the people at the top, the executive level, senior management. They'll go ahead and they'll create their goals, and through the system, we'll be able to align those goals, through managers and then colleagues all the way down. There's going to be a communication cascade with this. So the executive team is meeting to communicate these performance goals and the expectations for those different quadrants. From there, they're going to push it down to the VP and the director level. They'll start to create their own goals and align those to the overall company goals. And from there, it'll move on to the managers where they'll meet with their teams and colleagues to discuss the different strategies for their department and for their team and how best to align them to the manager's goals and to the manager's goals. And then finally, the colleagues will meet with their manager to discuss on how they're going to create their individual accomplishments or goals for the year. So the timeline for this process, currently we have a request out to the executive leaders to get goals back to HR by the 18th of this month. followed by the second level goal or the second level managers to have their goals back by the 29th. So they're going to be sending the goals over to HR, and we're actually going to be inputting them into the system for them. That does several different things. It frees up their time and allows them to do other things, but it also gives us a chance to get the goals in there before we actually push out the system. And this is going to benefit managers and colleagues because we'll be able to align our goals better, and you'll have a better line of sight. That'll make sense here in a little bit when we get to that point. We're also going to be doing a Focus Friday on January 5th. And then 3 days later, on January 8th, we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up the system for all colleagues to start entering their goals. By the end of January, we hope to have everyone's goals entered into the system. So real quick, we're going to go over what the previous goal creation process kind of looked like. I'm sure you're all familiar with the action items that would be sitting inside of your queue inside Grow Your Talent. It was an action item that was created through Grow Your Talent with automated emails. And oftentimes what we were noticing was that colleagues were having goals inputted into the system without their knowledge or with very little discussion sometimes. We also noticed that through this task creation that these tasks would sit inside of the queue and managers or colleagues might not touch it for months at a time. The goal creation process previously was a two-step process. Managers would create, colleagues would approve. Like I said, if a manager neglected to enter goals or if a colleague neglected to sign off on a goal, they would not have goals at the end of the year for their performance review. Also, inside of the goal creation process, there was very little structure or a template for the manager to base their goals off of or to design their goals. And there also wasn't a set limit on how many goals you could create or how few goals you could create. The new goal creation process that we'll be rolling out on January 8th, managers and colleagues will be contacted via HR, so it won't be an automated email anymore, and it'll let everyone know that they have access to create their own goals. So this is an important part because this isn't something we've done before. So managers aren't creating the goals for the colleagues are creating the goals on their own. But as you'll see down below, managers are still expected to communicate expectations. So, once January 8th hits or even before, it'd be a good idea to have that conversation starting with your colleagues to let them know these are kind of the goals that we want in each of these different quadrants. But like I said, there will be no task generated, no email notifications will be sent to you every day or every week. It's a much more fluid and organic process. All colleagues will have access to start working inside of the system. They'll simply go into Grow Your Talent and go into the goals section. If a manager wishes to guide the goal creation process, like I said, it's best to have that communication or that meeting prior to the colleague moving forward. But regardless of who creates the goal, the colleague will be entering the goal information into the system. Inside of the My Goals page, when anybody goes in there, there will be auto-populated placeholders for the goals. So on January 8th, if any of you log into your account, you will see these 4 goals that are on the right, or these 4 quadrants. These make up the performance model that goes back to those 4 quadrants that we looked at earlier. Each section, you'll go ahead and you'll enter 1 to 2 goals or accomplishments that'll help you achieve that specific section. Colleagues will not have the ability to add more sections. HR approval will be needed. Each section will have a title, a status, a description, a start date, and comments. So we've really streamlined the process at this point. There isn't a lot of extra information that needs to go in there. And each performance section will also include a quick guide on what a SMART goal is. So like I said earlier, there wasn't a lot of guidance for managers. We want to make sure there's a lot of guides and a lot of structures for people to go ahead and create those SMART goals. We noticed throughout the process that people were creating goals like, show up to work on time or make sure I answer emails on time. These are things that are kind of expected and should be. Ideally, we'd want a SMART goal to be something that's stretching the individual and really trying to push the organization upwards. Inside of the edit screen, colleagues will be able to edit the description and the title. So like I said, this is where you would go ahead and you would enter your 1 to 2 specific goals or accomplishments for that performance section. And there will be that guide in there. Once you've updated the title and the description, you'll be able to align your goal simply by clicking on the Align button. What this does is it allows you to see what your manager has for goals inside of the system. You'll be able to see what your manager is specifically doing and make sure that you have your, for instance, if you have a customer engagement goal, you'll be able to align your customer engagement goal with their customer engagement goal. And then you simply click submit and you're done. That's all you need to do, and you have to do that for each of those 4 quadrants. But there's more inside of the system than just creating the goals. So inside of the system, and this was a big point when we were working through it, we wanted to be able to have a paper trail of any changes that would happen for those 4 different quadrants or those 4 sections. So inside of each specific section, there is an options button that allows you to take a look at the history. This allows you to see when the goal was created originally by the system administrator, who is me, and then any changes that happen in the system. So if a colleague goes in there and changes it once a day, every day for 5 weeks, there would be a paper trail for that. If you go in there and you change it for the colleague, there would be a notification or a note in there about that change and the time and the date. Another thing that's in there, and this really is the big one, inside of everybody's account, there's a hierarchy tab. And when I talked about the alignment, when you start to go ahead and you align all of your goals, you can start to see how those start to cascade up through the organization. So in this example on the screen, Morty Smith has a specific goal for customer engagement that he's aligned to his manager. And he can see how that goal aligns not only to his manager, but to the VP of the department and all the way up to Scott. This is a big thing because it actually allows individuals to see the specific impact that they're having on an organization. Oftentimes when individuals create a goal, they don't understand exactly how it's going to impact a company. The system and the way we've designed it allows individuals to see that those day-to-day steps that they're making in order to complete a goal are actually having a real impact on all of us. Another thing that managers will also be able to do, you'll see in the example to the right, there's a My Goals tab, the Hierarchy tab that we just talked about, and then there's also a Team Goals tab. This allows you to go into all of your team members that you have under you, view all of their goals, and you can also go ahead and cancel and edit goals. So if you had a conversation with an individual, you know that you told them what they need to do for a goal, but they didn't quite get that information inputted into the system, you can go in there yourself and add that additional information. Or if something changes as far as a business need goes, you can go in there and make that update. So what I'm going to do real quick, just to show you instead of using slides, I'm actually going to go into the system just to show you how easy this is. So when everybody logs in on January 8th and you go to your My Goals page, you're going to see these 4 sections: the customer engagement, colleague engagement, company financial goals, and functional specific goals. If you're a manager, you'll see the team goals, and everyone will see the hierarchy tab. So inside of the specific performance section, what you'll do is you'll just go ahead and click and select edit. This is going to bring up the edit screen so that you'll be able to change the title. And in the description area is where the example for the SMART goals will be. This is where a colleague will be able to go ahead and highlight all that, delete it, and start to enter their goal information. And they can enter as much information as they want, be as specific as they want. But like I said previously, the goal is to have 1 or 2 goals for each specific section. Once they've updated the title, they've updated the description, the start date and due date are all the same, they really don't need to worry about the perspective. They can go ahead and they can click submit. Now previously I talked about the alignment. What I want to do is I want to show you a fresh one because that one had already been aligned. So if the alignment hadn't occurred, over here on the right is where you would see the alignment tab. So say we've updated the title and the description, we go ahead and we want to click on align to align it to our manager. This would bring up all of my goals, and all of my manager's goals. If I wanted to click on a specific goal of my manager to go ahead and align to, I'd simply click on the little radio button to the left, scroll down, and it would give me a description of what exactly Brandon had in this section. So in this example, he has the standard text that everyone will get, but his managers update, and that's why we're having the executives first do it, VPs and senior managers, because ideally when managers and colleagues go in there, we want them to be able to see something so that they know which goal to specifically select. Then they simply click on Align, and it's aligned their goal. Over here on the right, they'll see that this is their goal on the bottom, their manager's goal, and then their manager's goal. Then they go ahead and hit submit, and it's all done. So that's pretty much what the goal creation process inside of the system is. Like I said, it's really easy. We're already pumping out those 4 placeholders for everyone. It's just a couple of clicks and then adding in that information that you and your colleague will discuss prior. So before we go any further, are there any questions as far as the goal creation process? And if anybody's on mute.
Actually, I've just got one question.
Yep.
This is Russell. In regards to the dates for things.
Yep.
Being December, there's a lot of people who probably aren't going to be here because they're on leave. There's some people going on leave, like as of tomorrow, for example, and they won't be back for 5 weeks. Like, what do we do in that situation?
So in that situation, so when I create the goals for everyone, it's going to be that October 1st. So, for reporting purposes, even though the goal isn't really going to be started until they get back from holiday, we still want to have that October 1st, because when we start to pull those goals in for the performance review, we need that date range of October 1st to September 30th. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm just wondering, like, how do they enter them if they're not here? Like, myself, I'll be.
Gotcha.
I won't be back until the 5th of January, I think it is. So I've got, I think, next week, and then I'm on leave. So, and I think pretty much the entire Perth office would be in the same situation.
Yeah, so what's nice is there's not a task like we talked about, so there isn't a really due date. I just open this up and it sits in there. So when you get to it, you get to it. There really isn't a pressing matter with it. And I think somebody else's question, did that answer your question though? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. And I think somebody else shot me a question. If you want to shoot it back, because I can't seem to find it.
See the screen.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. If anybody else has any questions after this, if they want to go ahead and email me, I'd be happy to answer it. So the reason we're doing this at the end of the day, though, is we need goals for a great performance review at the end of the year. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a brief kind of glimpse into the future. I'm not going to go into the grass or the real deep details of this. But previously our performance review, I'm sure all of you have gone through it. It's rather lengthy. There'd be a self-review, a manager review, a second-level manager review, an HR review, the manager discussion, and then finally the colleague acknowledgement. There was a lot of automated emails that would go out through the system. People would get bombarded daily or weekly. And to be honest with you, the process started in August, and there's still people, even now, still trying to clean it up. So it's a really lengthy process. The new performance review process will be 3 steps. It'll be a colleague review, a manager review, and then a colleague acknowledgement. So it's a much more fluid, much more organic process. There won't be automated email notifications going out if you're missing anything. It's going to be a much more personalized touch. And it'll actually be me working with managers and with colleagues. I think what we recognize is there's different situations for every organization, for every department, and for every team. So having those blanket emails go out for everybody isn't the ideal situation. So we'll be able to work with individuals to figure out, okay, this is what's going on and this is why it's falling behind, or this is what we need to do to adjust it. So again, it's going to be a lot more fluid in that regard, but it's going to go down from 6 or 7 steps down to 3. And you know, it could go from 2 weeks to a month. It could be a really quick process depending on how quickly you move through it. So resources, like I said, I'm recording this and this will get posted onto the Grow Your Talent site. If anybody wants the slideshow, please email me and I'd be happy to send it over. There's going to be guides for managers and for colleagues at the end of the week. And then also, if you want to go ahead and email Grow Your Talent, I'd be happy to answer any questions. So with that, that's all I really have. Does anybody else have any questions on top of that?
So nothing from this side.
All right. Yeah, I tried to make this a long, drawn-out presentation, but it's so simple. There's not a lot to talk about.
Well, that's great, right? It makes
That
it a lot
is.
easier to.
All right. Well, if there's no questions, I'll let you guys get on with your day. Like I said, if anything pops up, please email me. I'll send this slideshow out to all the people that attended and even the ones that didn't. And thank you guys for your time.
Thanks, Nicholas.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks.
You
Have a
too.
good evening.
Yeah.